There's plenty of videos with Samco hose installations, so I'm not trying to do step by step. I mean, it's pretty simple. In the service manual, it says to disconnect this bad boy first, which I did. Drain that. I took off the radiator plug or cap next to, so that there's not some negative suction. Once that was off, then I went ahead and removed this guy, right? Nothing came out when I did that, which makes sense because it's the lower point. But there's also a screw right here that this guy is attached to. All right, so once you do that, then you can tilt this and drain that the rest of the way. And then also that last one, this guy right here, that is situated right here. You got to cut, and I did it with a Dremel. Pretty clean cut, just barely scored the rubber. Dremel is easier. I see some of the guys using full-on grinders to get in there, but doing it that way, like I was able to just right here, just you can see you got room without necessarily having to take off your shifter, which I don't think I need to do with the Samcos either. So it's just one less thing I had to undo. No sparks or nothing. Again, Dremel is your friend. Can't tell you how many times that has come in handy with modifying and fabricating stuff. So yeah, once I got that, then the rest of it came out. But a lot of the fluid, even right now, is still, or there's a little bit in here. So I wanted to take the radiator completely off to give me all the space I wanted to do the headers when I attack the exhaust next. But there's a couple things that make that a little inconvenient. So right now I have it hanging with some bungees on both sides, and it's lifted up and far forward. So this is just to protect the carbon, and it's against the rubber. And that gives me a ton of room. So this is more than adequate for what I need. And this was just the gas vent hose, which goes right there. So I'm gonna rock this. Like again, oil cooler is just free hanging, all good, right? I think I'm gonna do it like this. I mean, I could use the lift, but I gotta remove that beauty from there. But I think I have more than enough. Yeah, this is comfortable enough. I don't mind. So anyway, there's all that exposed, right? And then I'll show you why I didn't completely remove the radiator. So this is that shield where I put those plugs in when I did the block off kit. So these are just connected through two little tabs right here. And they'll slide in when you reconnect it, right? And then I would just unplug these. There's another one over here, and that would take care of all those connections. I think it's just for the fan and probably some thermometer or something like that. But, and they have another tab for that same thing on this side. But I think this is the clutch cable. That goes right up in here. And there is no opening here. It is fully part of the mold. And the whole plastic tab, or this whole upper guard thing, sorry, I don't really have a good angle here, it's riveted in. So I can't just remove that. Like, I guess to do a complete uninstall, I would have to undo it here, run the wire, like all it, just pain in the ass. I didn't want to deal with it. So yeah, since this gives me plenty of room to get a wrench in there, like all the way through, no problem now. So just moving this forward it does what you need to do. And obviously plenty of videos of people installing the full exhaust without touching this, like leaving everything mounted, maybe loosening a little bit so that it's, you know, a little bit extra, but throwing it like this, more than adequate. And because I was doing the Samcos also, it made complete sense to me. So that way I'm not busting my knuckles any more than I already am. But yeah, so there was no issues there. This one was a little bit of a hassle to remove as far as the vent lines that connects from here. So this one connects to the overflow. This one down here goes through here, up and over, and then onto that guy. So that took a little bit of maneuvering to get out, but no problem. But yeah, so, and you would have to remove the throttle bodies and everything to actually make it any easier. But yeah, so that's about how much. I didn't really lose any as I took it apart. So I don't know how much that is per se of fluid, but yeah, I caught it all. And whatever minor amount is left in here, I'm sure it's negligible. So yeah, hoses will go back on, and then throw in the water wetter, and the coolant swap, Samco swap will be done. But yeah, exhaust is next. Okay, so it's exhaust time. On the right is the full tie Acra headers. Plus on the left is the OEM. So OEM, supposedly this is also titanium. You can see some slight bluing. Right, but this has it's all one piece, so you can't take anything apart. Took apart the servo motor, you have to remove that, or at least undo the cables in order to remove the servo motor, which was a bit of a pain in the ass. So there are plenty of exhaust videos with this platform. Basically what I learned is you only really have access to the screws on this guy. Through here, so you can do it, kind of. Ultimately, I think removing the rear set would have been the better option just to get it done smoothly, but you know, it's just like the things you do in installing and uninstalling, like how many parts you need to take off for clearance. But I was able to eventually reach it, especially as I slowly lowered the exhaust, which then finally gave me access to it. But that was a pain in the ass. Then you got to thread it through here. Very tight tolerances. There's only like a particular way to get it out, and then you pull it out. And you can see the bracket right there, those two grommets. So the servo motor just kind of pins in there, and then you need to take apart or release that one plug. So I have the servo buddy. I don't think I need it. I think the tune disables it. I'll confirm that later. So probably something I did not need to buy that I will essentially sell. But yeah, so I'll clean all that up. I'll zip tie it or whatnot. But I mean, I can probably remove that whole bracket. But it's clear. So that's gone, unneeded. And again, that was really the major, or the only hiccup there. And I have the Lambda just sitting there, one on the other side, and then two up front. The two up front, which I have on the ground right now, you just release the clips holding this, or holding the electrical, and then they come off with the setup. So I remove that, and You didn't see that? But I will, I'd lay it down, but it doesn't balance anyway. So I'll remove these and install 2 of them up front, and then these guys once it's on there. The other lesson I learned is to keep your fins nice, definitely protect them, because these things are so fragile. Now it's the pipes in between that actually hold fluid and or oil. In this case, it's the oil cooler. But it doesn't take much to rub against them and then you deform them. Now, not the end of the world. You can just take a screwdriver in there and kind of straighten it back up again. But it kind of pissed me off learning it the hard way. I mangled a handful of them, but no big deal. Functionally still sound, and I corrected as much as I could. Like, it's not perfect, but no one's ever gonna be able to tell. It's all good. But again, word of the wise, protect your cover. Just throw a little cardboard over there and you're fine, because when you're pulling it out, this gets rubbed on, and yeah, so now you don't gotta worry. But here's the free hanging 2 plugs. You see the other one over there. But the way I have it, I had plenty of clearance. It took me like, I don't know, 2 minutes to undo all of this. So it'll be a piece of cake putting it back on. The other thing you need is a star bit. It's a 10 mil. So regular 10 mil will not do it for these guys. So just be aware, if you don't have one, you will need one of those. Regular 10 mil will not work. Other than that, pretty straightforward. You know, just try not to trip on all this stuff. But I figured, why not? You do the full weight setup there. So let's see. All right, that's balanced. So 12 pounds, 7.1 ounces. Or 5 kilograms. Here we go. 5 kilograms, 644 grams. That is a heavy setup. All right. So let's remove that. And then the new one, if I can get it balanced. There we go. So 2 kilograms, settle, 560 grams, or 5 pounds. So less than half as heavy. So, you know, obviously titanium, 2 titanium, but without all of the emissions mess. And yeah, it's gonna be sick. All right, I'm gonna install them. Okay, something I forgot to do, or should have done when I had everything off, but in the quest of weight savings and removing unnecessary stuff, like this bracket is now useless, and so is this one behind that hold the servo motor. It technically holds that plug as well, but I think that's a relic, since it shares the same wiring harness as the S1000 for the electronic suspension in the rear. So I can just pull that through and zip tie it underneath the seat / tank with everything else. But similarly, that whole piece could go as well, and that looks like a decent chunk of metal. So I'll remove that, and we'll see how much additional weight is shaved. Okay, here's that bottom piece removed. The exhaust hanger is gone. Servo attachment gone, along with that bracket back there. There were 3 bolts that connected it all. And then I just pulled it through and zip tied it to the loom right here. So pretty clean, now completely tucked up and out of the way. And I'll weigh this in a second, but here's all that removed. 0. There you go. $336 grams additional. Headers and link pipe are on. Now again, there's plenty of tutorials out there, how-tos. The Akrapovic instructions are pretty straightforward and clear. You have to put the flanges on in a very particular order. You hand tighten them first, and then you put the headers on with the springs to let them seat, and then you tighten. And it's very low torque. It's like, I don't know, 7 pounds or something like that. It's in the manual. So you can see that top one, easy access. This one, a little bit of a hassle. You hand tighten them, right? So I just tightened that guy down. I even used the little rubber mallet to make sure everything was seated. And then I loosened that bottom part of the spring to do the final tightening with this. Because at that point, it's already seated, it's good to go. The other thing is rerouting the cable. So originally, all along the front here are all these little tabs. You can see some in the center of the picture right now where the wire is run, but you no longer need that, because where it used to be with the sensors, the lambda sensors, or OT sensors right there, they're now relocated to here. So I just ran it from here right underneath. And then I tucked it behind there. So that's the water pump, and the radiator hose is gonna be right there. So that'll further sandwich it in, but this is where it's at. So I got it zip tied right here. And originally there was a zip tie here to the sensor of the kickstand. So there's another tab right here, but I'm not gonna use that, because now that this is like, it's a fixed point. So zip tied right here and up here. This is not going anywhere. It's tucked back here, nice and tight. So other than that, it's just, you know, torquing these guys down, doing a little reverse twist so that when you twist it back on, it's not going to be all twisted up. Super simple. Again, it was like 29 foot-pounds, something like that. Relatively low, easy, but it's tucked nice in there, right? So once you do that, you just give it the little couple with the rubber mallet, a couple little love taps just to help everything get seated. There you go, official. Haven't put on the slip-on just yet, but here's that side. Here's where I routed that. Plenty of good spots. And again, right back where it was, I put an extra zip tie along the bottom there just because I didn't like it. Felt like it rattled just a little bit. So now it's fully locked on. But again, in its OEM location, out of the way. Little zip tie right here. There's a little opening in that bracket, perfect for that. And then just right there. So everything is just nice and tucked away. Exhaust is essentially done. I just need to go ahead and put on my slip-on. And Samcos are next. But yeah, radiator is reattached, no problem. So it's just Samco hoses, and then I'll be able to go ahead and fire this thing up. She is ready for the tune, going full stage 2. Did the BT Moto airbox package, velocity stacks, flapper delete, IAT relocation kit, I also did engine block offs, removed the charcoal canister. We got Samco hoses all the way around. It's got now a water wetter in the radiator. Got Akrapovic full titanium exhaust, headers, link pipe, all the way to the GP shorty. Everything has been tested, no leaks. I also had a fresh oil change prior to all of this. I also wrapped the, can you even see it? Yeah, you can barely see the gold in there. The air duct and air box. I did it in the reflective gold heat tape. So full setup. Also, I have tails removed right prior to the tune. I also mounted my AIM Solo, did it nice and clean. Perfect clearance, just enough to still adjust the suspension. I might move this forward a little bit more, but I like where it's at. I just need to test to make sure, a little screwdriver can get in there to get the appropriate clicks when I'm on the track doing some suspension stuff. But yeah, it is ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is let you hear everything pre-tune, the kind of cold start setup, and then it's not really cold out, but and then post tune, see if it sounds any different. So we're gonna get some error messages, but basically says it's safe to ride. But that's because I unplugged a bunch of stuff. Yep. All right. I just plugged in the AIM Solo. So I want to show the startup screen. Boom. Custom. All right, cool. So it should be on street settings, or my street screen. So it's going to look for tracks. It's not going to find any. But I had it set on the street screen or page in their software. Have it set to speed, IAT, temperature, and RPMs. And that was more so just a test to make sure that it's reading based off of that connector that is hidden underneath here. All right, so let's fire it up. with the tune. Okay, so I just ran it for, I don't know, about 10 minutes. Hopefully you could have heard me, but I let it warm up, and then I was giving it very light revs, and this thing was flaming. Like I'm gonna have to do this at night so you can see it. Again, hopefully the tune does not take that away. If anything, accentuate it, because I love the crackle and burbles this thing makes now. Pretty sick. And I hope I don't burn my boot bottoms, because done that before. Ruined a pair of boots on my girl's bike. She has a low slung Graves exhaust on her R6, and we swapped bikes once, and yeah, not set up for me, unfamiliar, and I just, sure enough, I rested my heel on this thing and just melted through through the sole. Not a tremendous amount, but enough to pretty much retire those boots. So anyways, I'm gonna have to adjust for that. Hopefully my heel doesn't drop that low with this bike, since it's ergos are more suited for me. So, oh, and the other thing I did put on were the GP lifters and swap this to the spools. So funny thing is I'm not 100% sold on that. I thought this would lift the bike a little bit higher, and maybe it does, maybe it's arbitrary to the spool setup. But because now you have to, you got to watch out for the underslung caliper, and it's just something to dial into. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I like these, the looks of them, they are killer, but I feel like they're mostly looks. Like the ergonomics of my pit bulls are it's just way easier and faster. You have a little bit more, just slightly better margin. So I don't know if I'll swap to that, or maybe it's also because the lifters on that are back behind it, which I definitely wanted. There's still a possibility I might machine something so that I can use those and still retain the whole quick change or quick axle system. But we'll see, because I've been trying to sell the kit, but I've gotten like no clicks as far as people looking to buy the set off me. So we'll see. But that's what I'm holding reserve. If I can just fashion a little bracket here that allows me to use the interior slide, then I'll swap this thing out. But for now, no problem. Okay, so that means it is time to ride it. So I already got the tune loaded on here, and let's do it.